What is up, YouTube? What is up, Richmond Rillaboo fam? Richmond Rillaboo. Richmond Rillaboo fans. It's your boy coming back. If you hear some weird alien sounds in the background, you hear some farting maybe in the background, that's my French Bulldog. I'm up very late with him. He's getting very elderly. He's having a lot of health problems. So I'm staying up with him tonight so that my wife can get some sleep because she's been staying up with him. And so yeah, if you hear any odd sounds coming from the background, that's funny story. Our French Bulldog's name is also Hamilton. So I'm here bringing you guys week 6 match of the FPL. You can see our opponent's team at the bottom of the screen. We are playing. This was a big match, you guys. We were playing Diabetic Raichu, aka Rai, aka El Secretary, aka probably one of the best coaches I know out there. And he had a very scary team with things like Corviknight, which is always hard to break. Tough thing for, like, my Venusaur and Enamorus to deal with. He's got things like Mantine, which was Mantine hard-walled my Palafin so bad. See, there's some of the alien sounds that I was talking about. Mantine walled my Palafin so bad, like Palafin just literally has nothing to hit a Mantine with, to the point where I just didn't even bother bringing Mantine this week, or didn't even bother bringing Palafin this week. It's late, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to make this decent video. But yeah, so coming in, because I have Palafin, I'm thinking he's definitely going to bring Mantine. He's definitely going to bring Corviknight for my Enamorus. And so I'm thinking, what are some things that are good against those things, at least? So coming into this, I think the first thing I put on this team was this Choice Specs Kilowattrel, and we're calling him Mountay. Mountay is one of my favorite YouTubers in Pokemon Draft League. He's an excellent battler. At one point, he was like the best Draft League player in the world. When we had that Draft League site going that like recorded everybody's wins and losses and your stats and everything for you. Shout out to anyone who remembers that website. It was pretty cool. But yeah, so Mountay was like a new guy on the scene, kind of back in the day, and he was like number one. And he was so now he's in a lot of the top like YouTube leagues, and he's just really good. He's a really he's someone who's very good to watch if you're trying to learn more about Pokemon Draft League. And he's also really funny. Like, he's legitimately funny. Seems like a cool dude. So check out his channel, Mountay. Spelled exactly like this. So this is our Kilowattrel. Pretty straightforward. Just enough speed to outspeed the Greninja. Which is, also one of Rai's big threats that I didn't really mention. But yeah, this thing is really good here because it outspeeds Greninja, it outspeeds everything, and the Volt switches should be pretty free considering that his one ground Pokemon is Great Tusk, and Great Tusk gets destroyed by a hurricane. So um, I know Rye likes to play pretty cautious and um, doesn't really like to make super risky plays. So I just don't see him switching in his Great Tusk on a Kilowattrel. So I'm thinking. So my plan coming into this was to lead with Kilowattrel. Then we bringing our kill leader thus far, Rhyperior. Um, Rocksteady the Rhyperior. So shout outs to the homie J Paul, who is another coach in the FPL, who helps me build sometimes, and we do mocks together sometimes. Um, he gave me the idea for a Swords Dance Rhyperior set for this week, which is excellent. It can come in and set up Swords Dances on things like Corviknight, on things like Florges, particularly Florges, um, and with Terra Fairy, I can terrestrialize in front of things like Greninja, um, and yeah, with after a Swords Dance, so it's got max HP, a lot of special defense, to be able to get up those Swords Dances and uh, bring in leftovers, and it can just with Terra Fairy, it can hardwall Raging Bolt. Like there's nothing Raging Bolt can really do to it, and so it can Swords Dance up on that thing as well. But the combination of Earthquake, Heat Crash, and Terra Blast to hit Great Tusk just kind of like hits everything on his team really hard and can really have a nice opportunity to do some breaking, which is helpful because Rye plays very defensively, and he tends to bring a lot of recovery and things, and can be a really tough coach to beat because he's very good at like keeping his Pokemon healthy. So it's important to have like a really powerful breaker like this. Then, because he has got some powerful mons, bringing our Venusaur here, Mega Venusaur, Squampus, knockoff for Corviknight, really, basically. Synthesis to stay healthy, um, Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb. So I'm going mostly physical defense to be able to have something to take like close combats from Great Tusk, and and then just a little bit of special defense allows me to live most hits from Greninja, um, unless Greninja's like choice specs. It has a really hard time like breaking this thing as well. So yeah, Venusaur is good here. Defensively, as long as Corviknight's around, it's going to be hard for it to do anything much offensively, but at least it uh, can force things like Great Tusk and uh, Greninja out, and you know knocking off an item on Corviknight is going to be good, and I may be able to get get tricky with some double switches potentially as well for some progress. So then we, speaking of forcing progress, wanted to bring Stealth Rocks, and to have an alternative answer to Great Tusk because that thing is scary. So I'm bringing Max Defense Mesprit. Max Defense allows me to eat a knockoff. Citrus Berry is good for just adding some longevity. U-turn is always positive. Then we got Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, which are just good old classic Bolt Beam combo. Hits most things, and then Stealth Rocks. So yeah, this is just kind of like a glue piece, mostly just there to like eat some hits, get up rocks, maybe do a little bit of damage in return. Um, then and Rye really doesn't have great recovery or not great removal. Well, I guess that's a lie. He's got Rapid Spin on Great Tusk and Defog on Corviknight. So I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I like forcing him to click moves like Rapid Spin or Defog, because then that allows me to get in some of my attackers. Gary the Goodra. So Gary has been putting in work, you guys. You guys know if you've been watching the videos. But Gary the Goodra putting in the finest, and we're bringing Rocky Helmet, Gooey Gary this week, max physical defense with knockoff. Knockoff is always going to be good for removing items. Dragon Tail for just kind of like phasing things out, being annoying. Heavy Slam to help break through that Florges. And Draco Meteor. Draco, even though we're not invested in special attack at all, it hits anything that's not Florges or Corviknight pretty hard. So I always like, even when I have like mostly physical attacking moves, just having a Draco on there to click at least one Draco and then not be forced out immediately after the special attack drop, so you can still click like physical attacking moves after that if you want to stay in. So yeah, that's Gary the Goodra, and Rocky Helmet is there to help whittle down Corviknight. Like I can switch it in on Corviknight and get some chip damage if he's clicking U-turn, punishing U-turns really. Same with Greninja. And then we've also got, so I almost did not bring Enamorus. Enamorus was called What You Say, but then I changed it to Snake. Snake. Because they got a snake on their shoulder. They're wearing a snake as a scarf. So he's Snake. I'm Snake. So I almost didn't bring Enamorus because I was thinking that it was going to have a really hard time breaking through Corviknight, but then somebody reminded me about Contrary, where if Corviknight is running Mirror Armor and I hit it with Mystical Fire, then it would normally drop my special attack, but instead, with Contrary, it would actually raise my special attack, so I was like, ooh, that would be cool. Spoilers, Rye is smart enough to not bring that Mirror Armor on Corviknight, I'm sure for that exact reason. He brought Pressure. But with a Life Orb, Enamorus still has some good potential to break. And yeah, aside from Corviknight, it's just very hard thing to switch into. So I figured it could at least really pressure that Corviknight and pressure a lot of other members of his team. Like if I can get this thing in on Great Tusk, like that thing has to switch out, right? And with Taunt, I realized I could run Taunt to prevent Roost from Corviknight as well. So yeah, Life Orb Enamorus is actually really good. Enamorus is just really freaking good, you guys. Like sometimes you kind of like, before I drafted it, I looked at its move pool and I was thinking maybe it really needs U-turn to be really good, but like this thing has been crucial in every matchup ever since I picked it up, and it's so good, like, and so easy to use. Like, basically just want to try to keep rocks off the field, and you just slap a choice scarf or choice specs on it and click Moonblast, and it just kills things. It's really good. Same with Goodra. Goodra is just so bulky and has a great move pool, and it's just been putting in really good work since I got it too. So let's get into the match. Um, so I'm doing a replay this week because I was playing this match coming back from being off the grid and like on a farm for like 9 days, and uh, I was also no. So I played this match after being on a boat. I was on a boat all day, and I was on a boat all day, and I was having a good time. I'll say it that way. I was having a very good time with friends, and I was concerned how this battle was going to go um, because I was having such a good time, and also because Rye, Raichu Diabetico, Diabetic Raichu, El Secretary, El. This dude has been kicking my ass in Draft League for years. I don't think I have beat him since the first time we ever played, which was back in like, I think like 2017. Um, and we played in a lot of leagues since then. So that should give you an idea of how regularly this dude has just been whooping my ass. Um, like running into him in playoffs is pretty much just like a death sentence to your to your season. So I wasn't feeling. It's all that to say, I was not feeling super confident coming into this, uh, and I did not record it live because I was like, man, I'm like not in great shape to play, and he's probably just gonna beat my ass again. Um, but let's get into it without too much spoilers. I'm gonna play it slow and just explain my thought process throughout, but to give you an idea coming in, he's really good. He's just a really good builder and battler. And I know I'm always in for it when I come in against him. So he pretty much brought what I was expecting. I definitely expected the Mantine because that thing, like I said, just completely shuts down Palafin. And that's why we didn't even bring Palafin. But the Greninja, Corviknight, Grey Tusk, they all look very scary here. And I always got to be worried about like a setup Florges as well. So looking at what he brought, I'm thinking that my plan to lead with Kilowattrel is a good idea. He leads with Greninja. Um, so we're gonna bet that it's not Choice Scarf. We click Volt Switch because again, um, I did not think that he was gonna risk bringing in Great Tusk on my Kilowattrel because it just got destroyed by Hurricane. So I figured he would not do that. So I figured he would either go into Raging Bolt or Florges, and I was right. So we get to bring in our Venusaur on this Florges, get our Mega Evolve off early, which is nice, and we can remove Corviknight's item early, which is also nice. So he had safety goggles on Corviknight, which I guess he was thinking I might bring like sleep powder or something. So that was a good idea, I guess. But we're gonna bring in Gary our Goodra to punish that U-turn, which I figured was he would be clicking. So already we've chipped down the Corviknight pretty well. Now he brings in Great Tusk, and I'm thinking on that move, let's go back. So when I'm sitting here facing the Great Tusk, I'm thinking this is his only Stealth Rocker. Um, And if he's going to click an attack, it's probably going to be knockoff to try to hit my Mesprit. I don't think he's going to. He could just attack what's in front of him and click close combat. But I was really expecting either knockoff or stealth rocks, and I'm really mostly expecting stealth rocks. So for that reason, I go into enamorus here, and also just because enamorus, bringing in that life orb enamorus before rocks and getting it in against Grey Tusk was really like what I was hoping for with enamorus, especially early game. Like if I can do some early game breaking with this thing, that's good. And the fact that I already got that like Rocky Helmet knockoff damage on Corviknight, so and knowing that it doesn't have leftovers means Moonblast is very free here. So we click that. We click the Life Orb Moonblast. Boom, dude! 42% of Florges, which is great because it's looking like a 2-hit KO on this thing. He does not want to lose Florges early, so boom, we click another Moonblast, and that does. We got a crit against Mantine. It did 69%. So I want to see like how much that mattered because honestly, that was like really fortunate for us, and was very unfortunate for him. And I kind of feel bad about it a bit. Um, let's see. We were Life Orb. I think the Mantine was probably like a very physically defensive. But Mantine has crazy special defense. It has 140 special defense, 85 HP. Um, so yeah, that crit mattered quite a bit. Yeah, we did 69. So without the crit, we were only going to be doing 41 to 49. So he could have pretty much like roost stalled us because we're Life Orb and kind of like Life Orb chipped us down. Had I not gotten that crit against Mantine, now, you know, eventually we would have stalled him out of his roost because you only get like 8 roosts now. But it was still a big turn. It was a big. It's allowing enamorus to break a lot more than it would have without that crit. So that was very fortunate. Um, so sorry to Rai for that. So we were able to kill Mantine there because of that crit. Now Greninja comes in. We have a pretty good switch into Greninja. We've got Venusaur and we've also got Gary here. So I bring in Gary thinking maybe he'll go for U-turn. He does not go for U-turn, and we see a Choice Specs Ice Beam come off. We see Protean instead of Battle Bond, and based on that damage of doing 45%, we know it's for sure Choice Specs. So he chooses to switch out Greninja and not go for the kill. It was probably a roll, and you know, Greninja, he really needs Greninja. So the switch makes sense. Grey Tusk is a pretty good switch into Gary. So I go for knockoff, get rid of Grey Tusk leftovers, and then we've got a pretty good switch in now that Venusaur is Mega Evolved. We go into that. So I was getting like all my plays right in this game. Like I predicted knockoff. Like I said earlier, I was expecting either rocks or knockoff. but I was thinking he would go for knockoff to try to hit the Mesprit. So that's why we went into Venusaur, because the Mega Pokemon can't have their item knocked off. Um, it eats a knockoff really well. So we do that, get that play right, and then we double because Corviknight's almost surely coming in, right? So we double into Mesprit here. Now here I'm trying to get up rocks. So that's what I do. It did allow him to heal up his Corviknight, which, maybe I should have doubled into the Specs Kilowatt rule, but I really was just wanting to get up rocks. And I knew that I might be able to catch him with a Thunderbolt as well. So I choose to get up my rocks. I go ahead and click Thunderbolt on his U-turn. Basically chip him back down to where he was. And then Florges comes in. Now this was kind of like where I was like, crap, because Florges is going to be able to heal up here as well. But I'm thinking, okay, I could either go into Rhyperior or Goodra again. I choose to go into Goodra because I don't really want to like show my hand with the Rhyperior yet. I'm not really sure why. I think it would have been probably a really nice move to go into Rhyperior, um, but I went into Goodra instead. I guess I'm thinking Florges can't really do much to Goodra, and I still didn't really know what kind of Florges this was yet. Um, so I bring in Goodra, and I'm thinking he's almost surely going into Great Tusk, but I go ahead and just Heavy Slam. I didn't want to over predict. He gets his Great Tusk back in. Now, this was a big turn. So I knew Great Tusk was coming in. I knew he's probably going to want to get rid of rocks. I go for the Heavy Slam, and I'm like, okay, for sure, he's almost for sure going to go for Rapid Spin here. This was another instance of me just like guessing correctly and getting a good guess. So I'm getting lucky with my guesses, but I'm also like, I don't know, I'm making good plays too. So I read that Rapid Spin is a very good spot for him to Rapid Spin, right? Because he, on paper really forces out the Goodra. He might be thinking, I don't want to lose Goodra here. Um, but I've already seen that this is like a very defensive Great Tusk as well. So I'm like, I think he's gonna Rapid Spin. I've got the Rocky Helmet. I can kind of punish him with Rocky Helmet, and I can just stay in and click Dragon Tail. Because I also didn't want him to get up. Like, I knew that if I went into Mesprit, um, or Venusaur, because Venusaur is a little bit chipped, that after a speed boost, this thing could become kind of scary. It could break through like both of those things and then, do a lot of damage to my team potentially. So I knew I kind of needed to prevent that speed boost. So I chose to stay in. We punish the Rapid Spin with a Rocky Helmet chip, and the Gooey reduces the speed and just phase him out. So that was great. He happens to go right back into Florges. So now, at this point, I'm seeing, okay, every time that he has Florges in against Goodra, he's bringing in Great Tusk like 3 times in a row. So now that Great Tusk is weakened, I'm just going to I'm going to predict that again and click Draco to try to hit that Great Tusk. Because Great Tusk does not, as bulky as it is on, I went back too far. As bulky as it is on the physical side, it does not have good special defense. So Here we go. We phased it out. Florges comes back in. Now I'm like, he's going Great Tusk again. I'm clicking Draco. So we get another prediction right. Boom. Gary takes out Great Tusk. So that is huge. Why is that so huge? Because we know that Greninja is not choice scarfed, and we have our choice specs Kilowattrel. This means Kilowattrel can very freely revenge this Greninja, and there's nothing stopping me from just freely clicking either Thunderbolt or Volt Switch for the rest of the game. And there's some more noises in the background. You might have heard a squeak fart just come. I promise it was not me. It was another Hamilton in the room. As ridiculous as that sounds, me blaming it on my dog and saying it was the other Hamilton. That's a true story. He's right there. So where were we? So yes, the Great Tusk going down was great. A great thing for me. Great move, great prediction. Gary is a great Pokemon. We love Gary. Uh, Unfortunately, Gary dies. Gary dies shortly after killing the Great Tusk. We know this thing is specs. We go ahead and bring in Venusaur because we can live a specs hit from there. We want to get our Venusaur healthy again. So he brings in Corviknight. He wants his Corviknight to be healthy. That allows us to bring in Kilowattrel, like we said. Those Volt Switches are very free for the rest of the game. So we Volt Switch into Rhyperior. We get Rhyperior in for free. And here is where the Swords Dance Rhyperior can go to work. So Florges chooses just to heal up. We terrestrialize in Swords Dance. They Moonblast us because we have a lot of investment in special defense. And we're full HP. We eat that Moonblast pretty well. And after Swords Dance, Earthquake just destroys Florges from full. I think it was a somewhat offensive Florges. He's forced to bring in Corviknight, maybe hoping that I miss a rock move. But we don't have a rock move. We have Heat Crash that destroys Corviknight as well. Corviknight had to be especially defensive for Enamorus. So this Rhyperior, putting in the finest. Our Rhyperior has been our kill leader again so far in the season. And then Rhyperior dies. Specs Greninja is just strong. And it's good. So we bring in Venusaur again. Knockoff is free now because Corviknight is dead. So once I can knock off the thing's choice specs, I know it cannot break Venusaur. It cannot break Mesprit, with Ice Beam and stuff. So we wanted to get rid of the choice specs. So that, and Venusaur could 1v1 it after the choice specs was gone. Then Raging Bolt comes in. This was maybe a misplay of me knocking off there. I think I just wanted to get rid of a Assault Vest. But I probably should have healed up first. Then I made another misplay because I went into Enamorus right away. And I immediately remembered that Raging Bolt gets that new priority like electric move that works. It's basically like an electric type Sucker Punch, but it's a specially attacking move. And I brought in Enamorus, and I was like, oh, I just win with Moonblast. Then I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that move. So he could have thunderclapped my face off. So I had to like double out to see if he had that move. He clicked the Volt Switch, which tells me that maybe, I guess he didn't have the thunderclap move. So Monte comes in. Unfortunately, Monte does not really have anything to hit this Raging Bolt, so I have to just spam Hurricanes, and I missed the first one, but then the second one hits, and it confuses him. He breaks through the confusion, hit him with another Hurricane, but you can see those Hurricanes weren't really doing much, even after his Assault Vest was gone. But it did wear him down just enough, and, he had been forced to click Draco one time. I don't think that Draco miss mattered. I don't think he would have killed my Mesprit with his, since he was already -2. Um, and so Mesprit is able to win the game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first time that we have beat Rye in years, man. Like I said, this was a huge win. Rye was the number one in standings. He was undefeated up to this point in the league. And there's some more noises from my dog. But yeah, big win this week. So we're really on a roll ever since making our transactions, and we're trying to keep going and moving up in the standings, and trying to solidify our playoff spot in a very tough league. FPL every week is a tough matchup in this league. It really is. A lot of great coaches. Make sure you go and check out Rye. He's a very experienced draft league player, and we were lucky to get the win. I just happened to sort of be inside his head this game. I think I made a lot of good plays, a lot of good predictions. Like I said, the crit on the Mantine early on was definitely very unfortunate for him, but I'm not sure how much it mattered in the long run, but it definitely mattered some, and it definitely gave me a nice advantage in the beginning. But I do think I was really proud of how I prepped and played for this, and I think I played it about as well as I could have, and that's what you got to do when you're playing a really good coach. So that is it for week 6. Tune in next time. Next week we'll be playing Snake, and trying to keep the win streak going. All right, see you next time. Peace.